will never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Hello, everybody, and we are back after a long hiatus. The Cantina Club is back. Surprisingly, I'm here because I swore I wasn't even going to watch the show we're going to talk about.
I thought you were going to say you swore you were going to watch this show.
Yeah, well, that too. But no, I wasn't even going to watch Skeleton Crew, but I have watched episodes 1 and 2, and that's what we're going to discuss today. So, just some overall takeaways and feelings about where we think it's going to go and what we've seen so far. So, how about Gundark start us off this time?
Yeah, I'll start off by saying I kind of shared your feelings about the show. I knew I was going to watch it regardless, at least try to watch it, but I had a feeling I was calling it Star Wars for babies because I thought
Yeah.
I mean, the Goonies was fun and all, for a nostalgic thing, but I just didn't know if anybody could make it work with Star Wars where it wouldn't just be stupid. It would be
Yeah, yeah.
annoying kids and stuff that's just too juvenile where it wouldn't attract an adult audience. And I don't
Mhm.
have a problem with a live action show being made solely for a kid audience. But to me, it works best when, like the Pixar movies, work on both an adult level and a kid level where adults can enjoy it as well. And
Sure.
I thought when I heard about what this was, I thought it's going to be really hard to make it appeal to adults. And so
Hmm.
I was really worried about it to the point that my husband, who usually watches all the Star Wars TV shows with me, I was warning him like, husband, this is Star Wars for babies. So just be prepared. You may not want to watch this.
Yeah.
And he was, though, I was prepared to just try to watch it on my own, late at night or something. And he was like, no, I want to watch it. I'm going to turn and watch it. And we watched the first two episodes back to back. He didn't want to stop it after the first episode. He wanted to go on. And then he gave it a thumbs up at the end of the second episode. So
Okay.
it wasn't, overall, I feel good because it wasn't the huge disappointment I feared it would be. It wasn't where I couldn't stand to watch it and make me sick because it'd be so annoying or silly or stupid. And it had really good production values. And I feel like I want to keep watching it. I enjoyed it well enough. I don't think it was great, but I did enjoy it. It was well acted, well produced. So I'm pretty happy with it compared to what I felt like before going into
Going into, yeah,
the
expectations. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. All right, Greedo, what are your thoughts?
um, I wish it had been a slightly. My only thing, I enjoyed it just fine, and I liked all the puppetry and the practical effects were very cool in
Hmm.
it. I liked the pirate outpost was very combination scary fun,
Mhm.
haunted house, junkyard, good place to have an adventure. Um, I was a little disappointed that Jude Law's character was so easily identifiable as the pirate captain
Oh,
at
at
the
in
beginning.
the
Yeah,
opening
with the
scene.
mask
Yeah.
on. Yeah,
Hmm.
it kind of took the mystery. Of course, he could still be someone else, because a lot of times
Hmm.
pirate captains come from somewhere, legit, and they end up being Captain Blood or whatever. But my main thing was I kind of wish the characters had been a little more fleshed out and a little easier to relate to. In a way, I understand what they're doing because the premise of the show is you're taking kids from a planet that's frozen in the 80s, 80s
Yeah.
suburbia, late 70s,
Hmm.
middle 80s suburbia, and that's not the truth, but that's the metaphor or whatever
Yeah.
they're going with. So they're frozen in time, and then you find out as the show goes on, there's a reason for that. They're not really part of the New Republic consciously, or there's some kind of barrier in place, so they don't have a lot of communication. They didn't even know what stars looked like. It reminded me of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy had a planet that was inside a nebula, so they never saw stars. And when they first explored space, they got a capsule that could go up beyond the nebula and beyond their atmosphere,
Hmm.
and all the stars appeared in front of them, and there was like three of them or something in this capsule from this planet, and they were just stunned looking at it all. And one of them said,
Uh-huh.
"Well, you know what this means?" And they said, "What?" They said, "This has all got to go." Because it disturbed their view of
Uh-huh.
themselves and
Of
reality so
themselves,
much.
right.
So they became this very vindictive race that was out to destroy the rest of the universe. But anyway, it reminded me of stuff like that. And so I get why they're naive, but they're super, super naive. And it keeps them from being quite the kids. Like, I was comparing them in my mind to the Stranger Things cast, and to the Stranger Things characters. And I can't quite relate to them as much because, like the one who's kind of the protagonist, he became so annoying to me in the second episode, as he was to everyone else.
The dark-haired.
And I just thought that was kind of a little unfortunate, that they just decided to make the characters kind of dumb and
just too naive. Yeah,
too naive and too. There's consequences. Like, I also was thinking about, this is how my stupid mind works, but I was thinking about like the Children's Crusade, and how they were going to go conquer, the Holy Land, and they had all these people behind them and stuff, and the people raised money and put them on a ship, and they were never seen again. They put them on ships to send them over there, because as soon as they got with real pirates, they were grabbed and sold into slavery and stuff.
Absolutely.
So, so it made me think, this is such a weird conflict of light, dark. What would really happen to these kids in this situation is grim. They would not be put in a cell just like in The Last Jedi with the exact guy they need, to escape and everything. Yeah. So, as a plot device, but I get it. It sounds pretty dumb and hateful of me to criticize shit like this, but when we all know that it's supposed to be a kid's show, you don't have to explain to kids. It's like a hero comes along, or a friend or ally or whatever, and everything's good. You don't have to. But overall, I thought good swing so far. Looks great.
Yeah.
Every show, if you're gonna have an ensemble, you got to give it some time. If you don't, and they tried to present kind of the one character's point of view at the beginning, and then swung away from him in the second episode a bit. So that was a little confusing to me, because an ensemble and a plot and stuff should kind of grab you with that one point of view, or whatever point of view they're going to present, and reel you in with something at the beginning. And it was good, but it didn't reel me in. So I could take it or leave it.
Yeah, fair enough.
What about you, Curly?
Overall, honestly, I'm going to echo your thoughts, Gundark, mostly. I mean, I both of you really, but probably more so you. I enjoyed it. It definitely was a thumbs up versus a thumbs down. If I had to go 50-50, I would give it thumbs up. I did what I probably liked the most about it was the nostalgic aspect of it, because I think that as watching these children go through this sort of world, it's kind of hard to separate yourself from being in the place of those kids and kind of remembering what it was like to be kids when we were, when the three of us were growing up back in the 70s, and having Star Wars. And, I immediately thought of Greedo and myself when I saw one of the opening scenes when they were on their way to school, and they stopped and they just immediately started play acting with lightsabers and fighting and so and I even turned to Lady Carillion at one point while we were watching. I said, "Yeah, that was me and Brian in 1978."
Right.
She just laughed like, "Yeah."
Oh, definitely, yeah.
So that aspect I did like, and the fact he's in class and not paying attention, and instead, what is he doing? He's drawing pictures of Jedi with lightsabers. So who here is guilty of that? So I did.
That's kind of what I thought. I thought his character was more competent or something, like he was being the oppressed one in the first one. Like, the society wasn't for him, he didn't fit, but it wasn't because he was a doofus. It was because he's just different, and he believed and he's almost trapped in the wrong place. He's a fish out of water where everyone else is comfortable, and that's a good start for a character. But then to put him, when he gets in the other environment, instead of being a dumbass, he should start feeling more at home. All the things that are making him an outcast. All the impulses that make him an outcast in this conformed society. When he gets into something alien and outside, he should suddenly start finding his place. Not immediately, but to have this whole thing happen because they told him not to touch anything, and he saw a flashing button and push it. It was a bit much for me, But go ahead. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No.
Last thing I need is more time to talk.
That makes no sense.
I
But
did I did like the scene where they started up the ship. I mean, we knew it was a ship, from the
oh,
very
of course,
beginning. We knew
yeah.
it was that pirate ship.
As soon as you see
But
the door, it's like, oh, that's a ship. It's like
They spent a lot of
barely
yeah,
money.
going
They
out
spent a lot of
from
money on that scene. I bet it looks
yeah,
pretty
They
they
did,
good.
did.
yeah, I could
And it
tell.
did
Yep.
have
Yeah.
the feeling of like, what if you actually found a Star Wars spaceship, and you'd never really been to space and you
Mm.
found one
Hmm.
hidden in your backyard. So
Yeah.
it
What are
was,
you gonna do?
and when it took off, it was convincing. I knew it was going to go to hyperspeed, but it was still, like, oh wow,
Yeah, when
when
it
it went
happened, we're like, oh,
on.
that's
Yeah.
wow, look at it.
So, yeah, that part was good. I did think the first episode though dragged some in the middle. It was a little too long. It was 45 minutes long. The second episode was only 30 minutes long, and it whipped along at a really good pace that felt just perfect. But I guess maybe
I
they
liked that the first episode was 45 minutes. I was like,
you did.
finally a show that takes a little bit of time to establish some things and give
Yeah,
you a
that because that's
feel.
always been
You
my
had a chance
problem,
to feel
with a
something
lot of these
instead of just
Star Wars
feeling numb
shows.
and rushed along. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe
I
well, I can see where you're coming from because the thing maybe I
You got to
liked
establish those
most.
characters at the beginning somehow. And this was, you had to live with them for a minute. And that's what that
yeah.
extra 15 minutes was about.
Well, I
Hmm.
think it also developed that society kind of in an interesting way. I like how it just came little bit dribble by dribble that this is not like a regular New Republic society in post Return
Hmm.
of the Jedi. There's something weird going on here. And I love the visit of the mother to the school where she told the kids that they needed to all like become administrators and accountants. They were going to take an assessment exam, a career assessment exam. And they're like, what, 10
Yeah.
years old? And they're going to go into doing the great work with a capital G and W on the subtitles for the
Yeah, that was
Republic. And
Which,
scary.
so, and
yeah, it
then
didn't
the
sound like the
kid,
Republic to me.
no, it didn't.
I
And
was
then
gonna say that sounds like meet the new
the kid
boss,
goes
same as the
home
old
and he's
boss.
dreaming, he's lying in bed and dreaming and looking at like the little thing. He has the spaceships hanging above his bed, and the camera goes up in the sky, and you see all these little bright red dots in the sky. And I'm like, oh my God, this planet's got a whole net around it. What the hell is
Mm.
going on? It should have been a moment where you go up in the stars, and you dream of adventures, and then you see this red dot. I'm like, okay, what the heck?
Yeah.
And then when they take the assessment test, this was so shocking to me. I had to write it down. Okay, they're in the career assessment test. They've got these robot teachers supervising them and telling them you have however many minutes to take the test. You must stay at your desk. You can't do this and this and this.
Did you
And
relate to
then
the robot teachers?
no,
No, I'm just kidding.
this is what I'm not a teacher. And I'm thinking about when I give an exam, one of the things is you tell your students you can't leave the room once you start the exam until you finish it. So if you need to go to the restroom, you go before the exam. This robot says, and I wrote it down, if you must use the refresher, remain seated and utilize your desk controls. The
Wow.
desks have a commode built into it.
Can I
That
get
is
one of
what
those for
that
my
world
desk?
is. That's what that world, it is so hyper efficient and
Right.
it's just like, oh my God. And I thought, kid, you got to get out of there.
What
Yeah.
what it reminded me of a little bit was Japan, like our ideas of Japan,
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
because Japan came
yeah.
from a history of being isolated for hundreds and
Hmm.
hundreds of years from the rest of the world. So they had a completely inductive society, and they still have traditions from that today. And the kids, when they take these
The
exams, it
exams, yeah.
determines kind of where in
Mhm,
society you're going to fall as far
Hmm.
as what jobs you
mhm.
might qualify for. And they have bleeding ulcers and all kinds of stuff over this because the tests are so important. What school you get into, if you get into a good school, if you, and it's very, very serious stuff. But it's like because there's a controlled size of population and actual literal only this much amount of space for people and stuff, you're kind of assigned roles almost, and but it reminds me of some bad governmental systems for sure, and some sci-fi tropes like Logan's Run.
Yeah,
Um,
very
um,
similar. Yeah, you're right.
yeah, a lot
It
of
reminded me
the
a little
domed
bit
societies that we've seen and stuff,
that
where there's
episode
a
of
dark underside.
the episode, was it Mando that had the episode that was set in Coruscant with the doctor?
And people being
And
indoctrinated. Yeah,
yeah, it reminded me a little of that. And at first I thought, well, this maybe is the New Republic at its worst. But now I'm thinking, is this
it's a
place
Star Trek
still,
episode.
is it thinking it's still part of the Republic?
Yes,
Is it like,
it's from the High Republic or something because there were
It
sculptures
is.
of Jedi and stuff around. So
yeah,
there's an idea that maybe a Jedi or the Jedi founded this place. They're considered unicorns are gone, I guess, but they're still considered to be the holy leaders or whatever. But it's a preserved bubble that was probably an experiment, like almost as if like the most important guy in the galaxy took his kid and put him here to protect him, and
yeah.
has
Hmm.
put a whole kindergarten around him, of robots and stuff, and said, "Don't let them get hurt. No sharp edges."
Right.
And keep them in a happy society. They gave them the what's considered the utmost of wealth in the rest of the galaxy to just spend for fun, as
Yeah.
their daily budget or whatever. They have like people are walking around wearing gold or whatever,
And they were old
So
Republic credits that kid had too. The
Right.
pilots
That's the
pointed
other
that
thing
out
that
when we,
that's
the
what I mean.
symbol of
Yeah.
wealth. It must be a
yeah,
very wealthy place because like that, everybody was so shocked at like,
Well,
where in the world
it
did you
came
get
from a
these new
time of
credits?
extreme wealth. It came from a time where
Right.
and that's the standard they wanted to preserve. They knew society was going to fall or something, or something along those lines. Or it's a Star Trek episode where someone from the High Republic crashed on this planet and created a whole thing around what their ideal was.
Yeah.
yeah.
And when Captain Kirk comes back later, it's like, well, they're saying the Constitution backwards or whatever,
Yeah. Yeah.
I recognize your holy words.
But I do like
Yeah.
that idea. I like the idea of finding out more about what created that place, and I like how it
That's my
gave the
favorite part.
information
Yeah.
slowly. Yeah,
Hmm.
that was interesting. I think for an adult audience. And I loved the introduction of Jude Law. I really I liked that little scene of him pulling the key off, and you hear a little bit of the Force theme in the musical
Yeah.
score.
I did enjoy
It's
the
like,
fact that they put the Force theme in there. Yeah.
yeah, and he looks like so different from any Jedi. He went like, who the heck is he? So,
What about? I think the other thing we got to mention is the droid.
oh, the
Did you guys think
droid.
the droid was
He was
great?
I
great.
love the
Yeah.
droid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Nick
really enjoyed
I felt like
Frost.
he was put in there for us. Yeah.
Yeah. Nick
Right.
Frost
Right.
is so good. I'm so glad that he's
Yeah.
in the Star Wars. So
SM
He's like the
SM33.
brain
Yeah.
damaged babysitter who used to be a bouncer, and can't tell the difference between his old job and taking care of his kids. I'm gonna break some heads now.
Right.
But
Exactly.
yeah, he was pretty fierce. He was like a throwback too to some old design. That
yeah.
the way he morphed into a battle mode
Yeah.
with the shields and shit was
Yeah.
just pounding people down. It's like hell yeah.
And
Oh,
I
and
did.
also, what did you think about the kind of cruel um, tone of some of it? Like the
that's what I was
pirates were
gonna say.
executing people.
Yeah. I liked the first scene because it was just like, and it also, the way it opened, it felt very Star Wars visually. The way the shot was beautiful in space and going down, and you start to see like little bits of ships and debris in this. It was just beautifully shot at the beginning, and the attack on
Mhm.
that ship looked really cool. That was the moment when I thought, oh, maybe this will work for adults. Maybe this is not what I
Hmm.
was
Well,
expecting.
they weren't taking
Yeah.
prisoners. They were
No,
No, not at all.
the guy
no,
hacking people with a machete and stuff. I was like,
yeah,
whoa. And that one alien, I don't know what kind of alien he was, but with the eye stalks, he got shot right in the eyeball, and then he
yeah.
shot the
Yes.
guy who shot him.
Uh-huh.
They had a some kind of theme with missing eyes. Like they had the goat boy guy with the three eyes, and one of his stalks was
Right.
missing and had a patch over the hole.
Yeah, all of that. Some of it was really sinister. And when the robot first appears to the kids on the ship, and it was like it's crawling out down that tunnel toward them and
Mhm.
clunking
Yeah.
along,
Really
and it's like,
creepy. Yeah.
holy crap! It looked like the Terminator coming or something.
And also, what did you guys think about the Wolfman?
Oh, I loved the wolf.
Oh yeah.
I kind of felt like he was there to do justice for the edited out Wolfman, for the
Yes.
special edition. He's like,
Yes.
I'm taking no prisoners.
It was
Edit me out,
just-
edit me out, will you? I'm gonna come in like Chow Yun Fat with the two guns.
It was just finally see a Wolfman in action in Star Wars.
If they have a green bunny, though, they'll have gone too far.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
no,
yeah,
please,
yeah, it's not good.
no,
I don't need
Let's not go
justice
there.
for the green bunny guy.
please, no green bunny.
But so you think this is setting up a plot where Jude Law is going to be the is he or isn't he a hero or anti-hero? Because obviously he's going to be interested in finding the treasure planet to redeem himself as a pirate, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Or just to achieve, maybe he's probably going to be like Indiana Jones, only a bad guy. Like I've been looking for that planet my whole life, and that kind of thing. So any predictions on that? You think he's going to end up being a good guy or a bad guy, or with these kids?
I think he'll get redeemed.
Soften him up.
He'll get redeemed with the kids in the end. But what I'm more interested in is where did he come from? Why does he have force powers? Was he actually a Jedi in the past? Was he a fallen dude or something?
Right. Is he a fallen Jedi, maybe?
What is he? Or did he train under somebody? Or is he just
I think that's parlor tricks. I think that's parlor tricks.
I was wondering myself because I didn't think this character was supposed to be a Jedi because why would a Jedi become a pirate even if he's a fallen Jedi? And if he was a fallen, why wouldn't he still be wielding a lightsaber and cutting people down? So
I think he's a failed Sith Inquisitor or something bad, or just a failed student who never. They looked at his midichlorian account, like no, or he's using telekinesis, like technology of some kind that to move stuff around. Because that's the bounty hunters have a whole culture of countering the force mechanically and stuff like that. So I think he's a shyster, and he knew these as soon as he saw these kids. He's like, there was no point in me getting out of here alone, but maybe I can. It doesn't make any sense.
He needed a ship. Well, he heard them talking about their ship.
So. Right, that's true. So
yeah. So, play along with me here for a second and see what you think. One of the things I took from the opening of the first scene or the first episode was I drew a lot of parallels to the opening of the original Star Wars movie. I felt like they really kind of almost not shot for shot necessarily, but scene by scene. It starts out with the pan down shot, and then you see one ship and another ship overtakes the other one. They, are going to, come in through the hull. Well, meanwhile, while they're about to come through the hull, all the defenders run up and they're sitting there with their guns and they're pointing, and they're waiting and they're waiting and they're waiting.
And they're scared. And they're scared. You feel their tension.
The door explodes. They come out, and then they even go so far as to have one of the leaders come up and grab one of them and hold him up and hold him up in the air, but
where is the blah blah blah?
Exactly. Like, okay, what are we just watching a new take on A New Hope? What are we doing here?
I read an interview with the guys who run the show, and one of them directed that episode, and they were saying, we try to be careful about the callbacks, but there is one that's just super obvious in the first episode.
That would be it.
One, but
if you think about it, A New Hope was the same as a naval battle with one side boarding the other. So there's only so many ways you can do it. They just didn't have the big crescendo. They didn't have it was obvious you're dealing with second-rate, third-rate villains, no Darth Vader.
Hey, another callback, and anybody watching this, if you can confirm it for me, because I am not going to go back and look at the Star Wars Holiday Special again to find out.
There was a callback to the Holiday Special.
Was it what those little elephant children were watching when they were? Oh my God! It gave me a horrifying flashback. I was like, I know I've seen that before.
They're playing with uranium there, including stuff like that.
At first I'm like, what the hell are they watching? Then I'm like, I've seen that before. I'm trying to block it out.
I got another question. I got another question real quick. What about the elephant trunk kid? What do you guys?
I didn't have a problem with him.
No.
He didn't bother me as much as I thought he would from the previews.
I'm not trying to cause trouble here, but there's articles going around saying that he's the next Grogu or more popular than Grogu and all this stuff.
No,
I don't buy
that.
No.
Yeah. I don't buy that.
I feared just seeing him I feared seeing him.
There's a lot of Grogu loyalty here.
Yeah.
I just seeing him in the posters before any trailers or anything came out. I feared he was going to be really annoying little. I was like, is this the new thing? We put a different baby alien in every show to get people to watch. Like, there's going to be a baby Jabba. There's going to be a baby Rancor, baby this, that. But it's real convincingly done as just another kid,
My favorite line
and
from the whole show is when he said, "I don't talk through my trunk." When she
yes,
said somebody stuff his trunk.
Yeah, I don't talk in my trunk.
Yeah, that was my favorite line of the whole thing.
Yeah, that was
like
good.
good for you, kid.
But yeah, like I said, overall, I did like the show. I think since Gundark was talking about husband Gundark and his feelings, for me, Lady Carillion was not quite as enamored with it, and she was just kind of like, about the whole thing. And I think she seemed to be taken aback by the planet that they're from. She's like, why does it just look like Earth? It's
Right,
like,
right. I
in
think
Star Wars,
that did both
why are we
things.
seeing
It pushed
people
people
cut
away
the
and drew people
lawns,
in.
and it's like these suburban houses, just like
Right,
Earth. It's like that takes me out of the Star Wars universe. So like, yeah, I
right.
get that. I get that. Yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's one
that
thing.
was.
That's one thing they kind of avoided doing mostly in Star Wars is
Mhm.
giving us an exact parallel. Even though in the
Right.
prequels you get more and more like 50s looking iconography and
Right.
designs and everything.
Okay, I'm giving a thumbs up, even though I did not hit the reaction button, but I agree with you.
Thumbs up.
I don't know what's happening.
It's
My
official.
reaction button is going crazy. So, yeah, but
Uh,
I do get.
Gundark's excited.
But the one thing I think that maybe I'm most interested about going forward with this series is the talent behind it. This was what first gave me hope when the day that it came out, the Monday it came out, I remembered it was supposed to come on that night. And I'm like, and I messaged you guys to see if to confirm, is it coming on tonight? And Curling was like, I had totally forgotten.
I'd forgotten about
And
it.
then
Yeah.
Greedo replied, well, I saw a documentary that shows like it might actually have potential. And then you mentioned some of the people involved in it. And then
Yeah,
you've got great directors and writers, like some of them from Mando. And one of the episodes coming up is by the Daniels, who did the Everything Everywhere at Once movie with Michelle Yeoh. And that was just crazy. So I'm looking forward to their episode. Maybe if you got that kind of talent behind it, and it's obvious that they're putting really good production values into it,
Yeah.
maybe it will just keep getting better. That's what I'm hoping, and it will keep the interest of an adult audience, and not just spiral down into only being for kids. So,
Right. Right.
so
from
yeah, I think at this
from
point it's
your
got great
lips
potential.
to whoever's in charge's ears. But so we all giving it a thumbs up? Is that the
Yeah,
idea?
I would
Yes,
say in lieu of
yes,
different ratings, I would just give it an overall thumbs up so far,
yeah.
is what I think for the first two
Yeah, I
episodes.
would give the first two a 7 if I
Would
was
you?
going to
Okay.
rate it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd probably be right around there as well.
6.5 to
Yeah.
7, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was
Maybe 6
thinking
to 7.
6.5, and yeah,
There were more hits than misses, but the overall thing that is my complaint is they had to dumb down the children quite a bit for the novelty of where they come from.
yeah,
So it's a part of the plot that they're acting the way they are, and therefore, but even in the 80s, kids weren't as naive as these kids.
yeah,
They had more of an edge to them. So
Yeah.
Goonies had more of an edge to it than these kids.
Mhm.
All the kid ensembles had more of an edge to them. So I missed that edge a little bit. But they just seem almost too young to be going on this grim adventure. Like, I don't want to see anything happen to them. It's like, ooh, call this off, send them back. They're really in trouble. They're really,
Yeah.
really in trouble.
Right.
It's a little alarming. It's like losing your
Yeah.
kid at the pirate Costco. It's like, he was right here.
Right.
Where is he?
Well, one thing I did like to me was because I was thinking along the same lines, and there goes Gundark being very excited again. She really enjoyed the show. 12 thumbs up in a row.
Oh no,
No,
it's happening again. Here comes another one.
because
I'm sorry.
I was wondering why. Okay,
What?
the same thing that the characters ended up wondering was, okay, why did he take them to this pirate planet? What the heck? This is like the worst place to take kids, And then,
Uh-huh.
so fortunately, the kids even asked him that, like, why did you bring us to a pirate hideout? He's like, because we're pirates.
Right.
I was like, oh, that's perfect. I actually
Yeah.
enjoyed that line. I was like, oh, that makes sense. He's a droid, and he's like, well, this is my crew. Said we're pirates, so I'm just going to take them to a pirate
It
hideout.
also never occurred to me that the title comes from literal skeletons.
Yeah.
That makes
Oh,
it a
right.
little more. That makes it a little more badass.
Oh, yeah.
It's like we're the skeleton crew. We leave nothing but freaking skeletons behind us,
Exactly.
that's pretty badass, actually, So it doesn't suit them, but hey, that kid may become the biggest space psychopath ever. The one that wants to be a Jedi. And say, I'm sick of hearing it's my fault. I'm gonna show you what happens when it's my fault.
Exactly.
But
Very cool.
anyway,
All right, so yeah, I think that's pretty much a wrap on episodes 1 and 2. I enjoyed it. Looking forward to see what they do next. And hopefully, if the schedules work out, we'll be back next week and maybe talk about episode 3. But until then, thanks for joining us, liking, subscribing, supporting the channel, all that good stuff, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.
Oh, I got an email from Arnold Schwarzenegger the other day.
From who?
sure you did.
Arnold Schwarzenegger
Oh, from Arnold.
said that I donated to his All-Star Kids after school program.
Gotcha.
And I got an email, and it said in the thing it was from Schwarzenegger. And I'm clicking on it, and it had, my email won't show any images or anything until I enable it to show the block content. And so it had at the bottom of it a tagline for an image, and it said Arnold signature. Yeah, sure enough,
Arnold's signature. Wait for it to load.
They pasted an image of Arnold's signature on it.
This is my all-star program for kids with flippers. They can lift weights even though they have flippers. For arms.
But I get an email from Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I'm like, and then
This one child had a blowhole. I told him I'm happy to give you a porpoise.